and began to look about me, thinking of the heroic scenes I had just been reading of. I was as wide awake as I am at this moment, and I saw a woman appear at the corner of the orchard and walk down the slope. She wore a long light grey dress, so long that it seemed to sweep the grass behind her, and so singular was her appearance in a part of the world where female attire is so inflexibly fixed by custom that I could not take my eyes off her. Her course lay diagonally from corner to corner of the field, which was a large one, and she pursued it without swerving. When she came near, I could see that her feet were bare, and that she seemed to be looking steadfastly upon some remote object for guidance. Her route would have crossed me, had the tarn not interposed, about 10 or 12 yards below the point at which I was sitting, but instead of arresting her course at the margin of the loch, as I had expected, she went on without seeming conscious of its existence, and I saw her, as plainly as I see you, sir, walk across the surface of the water and pass, without seeming to see me, at about the distance I had calculated. I was ready to faint from sheer terror. I was only 13 years old then, and I remember every particular as if it had happened this hour. The figure passed through the gap at the far corner of the field, and there I lost sight of it. I had hardly strength to walk home, and was so nervous and ultimately so ill that for 3 weeks I was confined to the house, and could not bear to be alone for a moment. I never entered that field again, such was the horror with which from that moment every object in it was clothed. Even at this distance of time I should not like to pass through it. This apparition I connected with a mysterious event, and also with a singular liability that has for nearly 8 years distinguished, or rather afflicted, our family. It is no fancy. Everybody in that part of the country knows all about it. Everybody connected what I had seen with it. I will tell it all to you as well as I can. When I was about 14 years old, that is about a year after the sight I had seen in the loch field, we were one night expecting my father home from the fair of Killaloe. My mother sat up to welcome him home, and I with her, for I liked nothing better than such a vigil. My brothers and sisters and the farm servants, except the men who were driving home the cattle from the fair, were asleep in their beds. My mother and I were sitting in the chimney corner, chatting together, and watching my father's supper, which was kept hot over the fire. We knew that he would return before the men who were driving home the cattle, for he was riding, and told us that he would only wait to see them fairly on the road, and then push homeward. At length we heard his voice and the knocking of his loaded whip at the door, and my mother let him in. I don't think I ever saw my father drunk, which is more than most men of my age from the same part of the country could say of theirs. But he could drink his glass of whisky as well as another, and he usually came home from fair or market a little merry and mellow, and with a jolly flush in his cheeks. To-night he looked sunken, pale, and sad. He entered with a saddle and bridle in his hand, and he dropped them against the wall near the door, and put his arms round his wife's neck and kissed her kindly. "Welcome home, Michal," said she, kissing him heartily. "God bless you, mavourneen," he answered, and hugging her again, he turned to me, who was plucking him by the hand, jealous of his notice. I was little and light of my age, and he lifted me up in his arms and kissed me, and my arms being about his neck, he said to my mother, "Draw the bolt, acushla." She did so, and setting me down very dejectedly, he walked to the fire and sat down on a stool, and stretched his feet toward the glowing turf, leaning with his hands on his knees. "Rouse up, McDarlin," said my mother, who was growing anxious, "and tell me how did the cattle sell, and did everything go lucky at the fair, or is there anything wrong with the landlord, or what in the world is it that ails you, McJewel?" "Nothing, Molly. The cows sold well, thank God, and there's nothing fell out between me and the landlord, and everything's the same way. There's no fault to find anywhere." "Well then, Mickey, since so it is, turn round to your hot supper and ate it, and tell us, is there anything new?" "I got my supper, Molly, on the way, and I can't ate a bit," he answered. "Got your supper on the way, and you knowing 'twas waiting for you at home, and your wife sitting up and all?" cried my mother reproachfully. "You're taking a wrong meaning out of what I say," said my father. "There's something happened that leaves me that I can't eat a mouthful.